Alright guys, welcome back to today's episode. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Nintendo. It's a common theme. But, you know, I love Nintendo. A lot of people love Nintendo. Some things people don't love about Nintendo. A lot of things I've been reading lately is the NES online service. Some people a little disappointed. I'm having fun with it. A bunch of games I've never played before. A bunch of games that I can play, yes, on an emulator. But now I'm playing on a Nintendo console with the Nintendo controllers that are wireless. So it feels like I'm playing a more legit version than just, you know, a emulator. And one that I feel like represents the games closer to the, hopefully, NES hardware original, because it's a Nintendo, you know, tweaked emulator for Nintendo by Nintendo. So it feels a little bit more, you know, original to me. Now, yes, this past January, start of the new year, only 2 games. Kind of a disappointment. Yes, there was SP. 2 of them. We'll save that for later in the video. The other thing we're talking about today is, what if Nintendo upped the price of the online service, bundled it with a on-demand video service, kind of like, you know, a lot of the streaming sites do nowadays, you know, $10 a month, $15 a month, to get a lot larger Nintendo library of games. More of them updated every month. So it's more like, you know, a worthy service, maybe? I don't know. That's what we're talking about today, so let's get to the video. Alright, so I don't know about you, but I would probably pay more for the Nintendo Online service if it offered a large selection of games right off the bat. Let's say 100 games. Nah, let's go 150 games. Titles from, you know, I don't want to go crazy, I want to go realistic. Titles from the Game Boy, the Game Boy Advance, Nintendo, Super Nintendo, N64. We won't say GameCube or Wii. I think they still have value for Nintendo, a lot more value. I think they can still pop out a Game Boy, a GameCube remaster and sell it for $60 and people would still buy it. So I don't think they're looking at GameCube as a possibility. I hope I'm wrong. That'd be awesome if it was in a service. But I think, you know, if you remade Mario Sunshine HD remastered, they could get $40 to $60 right off the bat for that and sell a decent amount. So I don't think they're going to go that crazy. But N64, I think they could do 2 things. They could release it on the streaming service and maybe do updated versions for physical release with maybe a deluxe version. So a little bit more stuff to it. So say, like, you know, you release the Ocarina of Time for the online service, but you could also release a $40 or $60 remaster with updated textures, maybe a couple more settings to it that tweak the game, stuff like that. So I think N64 is still in that period where it could be both and be fine. I would play the old version and I would probably buy the new version. So I think that one would be good. So basically, what are we talking about today? So, in all, if Nintendo had a service that, you know, right now it's $20 a year, what if it was $10 a month? So $120 a year, but you got, you know, 40 NES titles, you know, 40 Game Boy titles, 40 Game Boy Advance titles, 40 Super Nintendo titles, 40 N64 titles. Let's just throw that in. So basically, let's say 250 games right off the bat, Or, maybe 150 games right off the bat. Keep the number lower and then add titles. So 150 games from Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance, Super Nintendo, N64, regular NES. All for $10 a month. Maybe even $15 a month. But I think 10's more reasonable to get more people to sign up, and then maybe you increase it if you start adding like GameCube and Wii titles. But you can't just stop there. I think, you do your Game Boy line of games, your Game Boy Advance line of games, and your home consoles of the, retro style, $10 a month, and then every month you release 2 for each one. So 2 Game Boys, 2 NES, 2 Super NES, 2 Super Nintendos, 2 Game Boy Advances. When I say Game Boy, I mean Game Boy Color as well, just for here on out as I say Game Boy. So, 10 new games a month? That might be a little much. How about 5 new games a month and then 5 SPs a month? Which we'll talk about that in the other video, or in the later part of this video. So, 5 new games a month, that means at the end of the year you have 60 new games on the service. So that means, by next year you could have 200 and something games after a year. And then just keep adding to it. And then maybe 2-3 years down the line, GameCube games start sliding in. Or maybe DS games that, they can modify to use the remote to be touchscreen, to take away some of those features and add them to the Switch. Maybe. That would be kind of cool. So I would pay the $10 to $15 a month if the service was that big. Now, if they came out and said, we're going to do an NES streaming service or a Nintendo streaming service, $10 a month, and it's going to include Super Nintendo and N64. That's it. We're not going to boatload a bunch of games onto it. Maybe just like 10 NES, 10 Super NES, 10 N64, and maybe 3 games a month, and it could be from all 3. That might not be worth it to me. I might wait further on and be like, all right. Now, that $10 a month would also include Nintendo Online Service, in my opinion. So, it might be worth it. But I still think it needs to be a larger title, at least 20 to 25 per console, and 2 new ones per month. I mean, 1 to 2 per console, and that could be 5 all-out games, or 5, SP games, or a mix of like 7 and 3, 3 and 7. So I would pay for it. Just because I know I would have fun playing with the Switch, and the fact that a bunch of those old games on my handheld, playing like Nintendo would want them. And yeah, I like the online, I like their emulator. It works out nice. A great save function. It just works. I played, the NES Classic. It's fun, and you can do the same thing in saves, but it's a little bit a little bit more annoying to go up to the console, reset, go down. On the Switch, just hold those 2 buttons, click, save, get back into the game. So yeah, I'm into it. Now, let's say Nintendo doesn't go that route. How can we fix the NES service that we have now? And, add Super Nintendo games, and maybe N64 in the future, but it's just, a couple each month, and it could take 2 years before we even get close to 100 games total. One of the things I would fix is add Super Nintendo as soon as possible, and at least 1 new Super Nintendo game with, 2 or 3 N64 games. Start off at least 10 Super Nintendo games, just so that people have a backlog. The other thing, too, is I would say the SP. Their whole special versions, they need to stop the way they're doing it. I like the idea. I don't like the execution. Some people may, but to me, the SP is making the games easier, but you're not experiencing the whole game. And let me clarify that. Basically, a lot of the SPs for their games, you start the SP version and it starts you like at the boss or halfway done the game or with all the items, and you can go straight to the boss. That's not that fun. I get to make the game easier for people, but you're not really playing the game if you're just getting everything right there and then you're facing the boss right away. I would say what they need to start doing is giving you special features of the games, but if you want to make the game easier, or quicker for people to play through, don't just start at the boss. I don't want to pick up Metroid and just be like, yeah, I'm at the boss, let's fight the boss, and I'm done. If that's the case, if I'm really that big of a Metroid fan, I probably already played it, beat the game, and have a save state right before the guy anyways. So you're not helping me out. And then Ghosts and Goblins, they just had the SP. It starts you at like level 6 or 5 or something like that. So you only have to beat 3 levels to beat the game. But that's all they do. It doesn't seem any different. You still get 2 hits, you're dead, you're done. So let's take that as an example. You're not really playing the whole game. You're not experiencing the whole game. So why would anyone who's never played Ghosts and Goblins play, for halfway through the game and not learn how to play the game yet? So you're sticking me at level 4 or 5. I have no experience with the game. I don't know how to play the game well, but now I have to play the game right from level 5, like I've mastered every move. Yeah, it wasn't fun to try. Here's what I think they need to do. So, you take a game like Ghosts and Goblins? Yeah. I don't know why. Brain haze going on here. So, you take a game like Ghouls and Ghosts, and you do the SP in a way that makes the game easier to play the whole game. So you still have to learn to play the levels and beat the game, but, maybe you have super armor now. So now you get hit, your armor doesn't fall off yet. You get hit again. Now your armor falls off. And without your armor you get hit. You're not dead yet. You get dead one more time. So now your armor takes 4 hits. You take 4 hits instead of 2 to die. Now between that and save points, with the emulator that they use, now I could probably play the whole game and not die as often. I won't be as, annoyed with any features, but I could play the whole game and experience the whole game, all the levels, in an easier fashion. Maybe 4 is still not enough. Maybe it's, 4, but you don't start all the way back at the beginning of the level. You get a checkpoint throughout the game. So each level has a checkpoint or more checkpoints. Not just talking about Ghouls and Ghosts, but, why do I keep saying Ghouls and Ghosts? Ghosts and Goblins? Whichever one I kept referencing them wrong, I apologize. But any game like that that's difficult to play, like Ninja Gaiden. I just beat that, playing the whole game. Really fun. Enjoyed it. Loved it. Can't wait to play more of that game. Find the sequels. But the SP version literally starts you right outside the door of the last boss. If you've never played Ninja Gaiden, there's no way you're walking in that door and defeating him. But what's the point? Oh, I beat the game. You played one level. I think Nintendo needs to change their SP to be like, alright, Ninja Gaiden. So we'll take that example. You start the game from level 1. Maybe give you a couple bonuses off the bat. Maybe, extra, like, throwing weapons or something. Less guys pop up on the screen or something. Still allow you to play the game, to play all the levels, enjoy the levels, a little bit of toughness, but it's not as hard to play. So maybe there's less guys that pop out. Maybe your health is double now. You have more guys. Not every level starts, if you die at a certain point, you don't go all the way back to the end of the level or beginning of the level. Maybe there's a checkpoint. That way at least I can try to play the game, try to get past points, learn the moves, get to the boss, defeat the boss, but play the whole game in a couple hours. Not just, oh, I'm at the boss, I'm done. I think they need to get rid of that and do that type of thing. So, if they don't do a strictly streaming service, which I would love to see them do and I would pay for, I hope that they add more games per month, like 5 NES games a month. It might be tough, but if they add a second console, you could do 5 games a month. That way, not SP, just 5 games. You can do like 2 SPs, but make the SPs like, I was saying, more allow you to play the whole game that is easier than just playing at the boss that you've never played the game before and don't know how to play. So, if they're not doing the streaming service, do 5 games a month. Add Super Nintendo or Game Boy or something, just so there's a couple of new games going on. Probably Game Boy Color, so that, or Game Boy that are SPs that have color added to it or something for the Switch. That'd be cool. Yeah. So, online service, would love it. $10, $15, anything more than that, it would really have to have a lot of stuff in it. If not, NES online service, more games per month, a better SP games, and that would definitely help. Yeah, that would definitely help. Alright, other than that, I think that's all I got for today, guys. Let me know what features of the regular NES online service they have now is that you'd like added. Maybe there's something that would make the service even better that I'm not thinking of. Also, if you would pay for an online service, if you wouldn't, what would make you pay $10 a month for NES online service? And if you would, how much would you want to pay? And what would be some of the features or systems that you would need for it to be that way? Alright guys, thanks for watching. Hit the bell, hit the like button, subscribe, check for notifications, and watch my other videos. Alright guys, have a good night, keep on gaming, and catch you later.